peace and blessings. It's VJ, the brother from the ancient mother, and you're watching the Headspace, Africa's most poignant hip-hop podcast. We uncover, discover, analyze, dissect, and ultimately celebrate this beautiful culture of hip-hop in the continent of Africa. Now, if you haven't subscribed to this podcast yet, I don't know what the hell is wrong with you, because what we do is we basically kind of navigate how far hip-hop, and when I say hip-hop, I'm not just talking about rap, we're talking about all the elements from the break beats to the break dancers to the graffiti artists to the DJ who always sits at the center to the ever developing entrepreneurial spirit of what we call hip-hop, and how a lot of people seem to misconstrue rap as it's manifested in the popular scope with hip-hop culture. So one of the many ways in which we do that is we review music. We talk about the latest project coming out from some of the most hardworking and interesting MCs right now on the whole entire continent. We're zapping back home to South Africa, Tanzania, talking about a producer, not beatmaker, producer, not beatmaker. And we've covered the difference on an episode we did previously. We'll post the link in the description that there's actually a difference. Producers are not beatmakers and beatmakers are not producers. It's not synonymous. You can get a producer who is a beatmaker, but they're not one and the same thing. They're different functions that can be fulfilled by one individual, but they're separate skills. And to kind of go briefly into what they are, beatmakers are people who know how to design, create instrumentals from scratch, whether by the use of sampling or by literally developing new instrumentation, using programs and incorporating instruments to create what is called a beat, which becomes the overture for the rapper to kind of spread their thoughts and turn it into a complete song. A producer does something a little bit more intricate though. They are the ones that determine the artistic vision of where this song goes. So they understand a song in the context not only of its sonic scope in terms of the mixing and mastering element, but they understand the song's commercial value. They understand the kind of drum patterns it needs to have to resonate in the way that it needs to. They understand the character of a beat and try to bring it out in a way that's fully true to what it's meant to be. And I think a lot of artists, a lot of rappers have trash music because they lack real proper production, because they think production is merely beat making, and they don't understand this idea of taking an idea and translating it into its best possible form by honing in into the qualities that it needs to really develop in order for it to kind of be robust and feel refined and matured as a complete package. So somebody who definitely know how to do both is a producer that's been basically ravaging the South African music scene by the name of MashBeatz. Obviously we know him from the March trending Never Ride remix, which featured unanimously South Africa's most popular and probably dopest MC right now, bar to bar. Shout out Maklela Dope Boy, and giving us a project that is an extension of his identity as a producer. A lot of people think they know who MashBeatz is, but it's only through association to this kind of bigger Pretoria rap movement in the artists that he's worked with and continues to work with, people like Tyson Sabateli, and of course the man head honcho himself, who recently had the AKA feature of a lifetime. We're talking about none other than the skilled wordsmith and basically hitmaker in his own right, Tato Saul. So last year Mash gave us something which was, well, a mash, a coming together, a culmination of what I think are the key ingredients that allow him as a producer to express his story using the artist that he really favors, has chemistry with, and has built a real organic relationship with as conduit and voices to convey, one, his message and ultimate kind of ethos as a producer, but I think the story of the South African youth condition as it stands. The project was called This Is Religion, and I think that's pretty poignant because what it feels it points to is the question, what is religion? what do we mean when we talk about being religious? And I think how to tie in many of the over and undertones of what religion could ultimately be seen as, it is fundamentally a yearning for greater purpose. Religion is the need we have to connect with something bigger than us in order for us to feel like the bigger versions of ourselves, like the most cosmically defined, integrated, collectively integrated version of ourselves. And with this kind of spirit, Mash sets us into the fore. He paints a picture of a smoky aura, South African youth dancing all over the place, strobe lights possibly, nightclubs, waking up in the morning with a hangover, trying to figure out where you're going as a young South African person in a society where the lights keep going off every other second because the systematic government is really lacking in its main resources. Trying to navigate identity in today's times. All of this, believe it or not, is implied and also explicitly depicted through the sonics of this project. I mean, it's breathtaking. And he comes through with this and opens it up with his heavy hitters, with Matlera Dope Boy in this kind of kick in the door by the name of Optimistic, that determines what I feel is the emotional texture of the project. The project floats in this place that is optimistic yet curious. And what I mean by that is the beauty and the glory of being alive, taking a deep breath and acknowledging the blessings, small or large, of still having the opportunity to live on. And then to take those very same questions and dive deep into what needs to happen for this life to become, well, better. So what makes this project so superb is just the delicate balance between ballads and bangers, how it has this even distribution of vocalists on the other side in terms of traditional singers and vocalists in terms of rappers, and how this doesn't feel forced or crushed, but it feels so well balanced. Singers such as Yams, Muzi, Raspy, Clyde, Marcus Harvey, really some of the most noteworthy R&B, to use the term, artists really active in the game right now, alongside definitely some of the most interesting rappers in the game, of course, the rappers that I've just mentioned, and more, like K-Kid from Cape Town, and Joda Horsey, and a whole lot of other artists that kind of come together in ways that bring the dream to work by being a team. And I think the key ingredient here is Mash himself, how he creates this beautiful cinematic experience that allows for each and every song to feel like a complete dynamic experience with all of its highs and lows, quick turns, changes in the drums, little under dips that go and they dive into interesting little places. This is where the producers are made and the beat makers fall. This place where it's not just a bunch of loops or repetitive drum patterns or something that just goes consistently until it ends. Like it's a story. And in order to tell a story, before any artist even jumps on it, the actual beat is a story. And to see the beat as a story, to carve its coming together, its rise, its triumph, its pain, its tears, its contemplation, even before words can be spoken, is the job of the producer. And it's beautiful when you have somebody like MashBeatz who's both, who can construct the archetype of what they want to feel and know the key ingredients of what it takes to put it out there. And mind you, are doing it in the climate of a trendy style. What makes this project ultimately incredible is the fact that it speaks in a popular voice and still manages to have a unique thread to it. It's amazing. Not a lot of people can duplicate and reproduce pop culture in ways that still feel reinvigorating. It's fucking difficult because the easiest thing to do is rely on the drum patterns you've heard, the samples you've heard, and the typical kind of 808 ambiances that you've heard to just deliver the same kind of thing and tweak it in ways that are purely recognizable And they use that recognition to capture people's attention by feeling familiar. And MashBeatz does something that I think only true artists can do. He uses familiarity without giving you the exact same archetype that you're used to. He'll take the drums that are in vogue right now. He'll take all of the atmosphere of building sunny landscapes, but at the very same time trying to deliver this dark theme. But he'll do it in ways that feel unique to where he comes from. You feel Ipitori, you feel his own backdrop, you feel Ikasi, you feel that drive to the suburbs going to the clubs, you feel the hustle and bustle of young people, you feel the asses and the cheeks, you feel the niggas feeling fresh fly in the sneakers, and it's all delivered through sound and texture. Listen, I'm not just trying to be poetic, I'm literally driving a point across that if you're going to use a range of sounds that have been duplicated over and over again, the science is finding unique combinations to create a whole new recipe. And Mash does that perfectly to the point where, god damn it, it is religion. And I think the album title speaks to something that is delivered in a way that definitely comes from a place that is more than just a skill set. More than just having worked hard at what you need to do to be a good producer. It's constantly challenging yourself and tapping into the energy of what people feel. MashBeatz understands the feeling of South African youth, and he's understood how to deliver that in the most relevant ways, using the sound of trap and accommodating a lot of nostalgic hip-hop sounds. For instance, this project doesn't only kind of dip into the modern scope, it plays into samples in a way that I think even the old school head will appreciate Mash's chopping. So as a result, I've got to ultimately say, for me, this is a solid 8 out of 10. 8.5 on a good day, because what it does is that it constructs broad narratives, it uses the best artists right now, but it doesn't cheaply use them. Like, it maximizes their qualities and their talents by bridging this sometimes rare connection between a broad beat that allows for enough of a canvas for somebody as talented as a Tato or a K Cleed or a Maclera or a Cly or whoever to truly just relish themselves. Because the truth is, a lot of y'all producers be creating very boxy beats that don't have enough room for talent to actually swim and bask in it. So if you want the blueprint, listen to MashBeatz. Shout out to great music. Shout out to the ever-growing, unearthing quality of South African producers. I think we live in a country where the value of constructing music on an artistic level and how it really impacts the psychology of young people is only beginning to be properly understood. And I, for one, and the headspace in general, will always continue to speak on this very important narrative of how music delivers very key cultural notes. Just through sound alone, you can almost feel where you're being placed. And ultimately, I'd like to say we're being placed in the new South Africa, whatever that means. And I think that's the question that This Is Religion tries to navigate with this. What is the spirit of being South African? What is our faith? What do we truly believe in? What do we have to believe in to make this country something that can be workable for the people that really need it the most? My name is Viwe, the brother from the ancient mother. Shout out to great music forever and ever. Shout out to SA Rap. Shout out to SA Production. Shout out to African Rap. Shout out to African Production. The continent is being recognized for what it truly is. An ancient rediscoverer of the tools that have to be implemented in order for culture at large to reinvent itself. Africans are beginning to realize the power that has always laid dormant in each and every one of us. So now let's use it. Peace.